It's Thursday, my friends. Happy Thursday. You're gonna have a fantastic day. And here we have Frosty the Snowman, who's gonna say to you, Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, Smert Varaham. I wouldn't wanna mess with this snowman. I mean, look at it. I would get this to protect my home instead of a dog or a security company. This snowman does enough. And his name is Rehi. In all seriousness now, my friends, I bring you the United States infantry fighting vehicle Bradley, which is a few decades old strongly, versus Russian T90M, which is the most modern mass-produced Russian main battle tank, because the T14 Armata, I know the comments are, oh, the T240, it doesn't exist. Only 20 prototypes have been built, and the rumors about its mass production, well, they are beautiful rumors. So, 40-year-old United States infantry fighting vehicle versus the most newest Russian main battle tank. Let's see how it goes. The battle has commenced. The 25mm Bushmaster Bradley autocannon is tearing pieces into the T90M. T90M, being a main battle tank, should have a very thick front armor, but we are already seeing beautiful explosions coming from the T90. The turret control is broken. The turret is out of control. It is rotating like crazy. And now it's driving straight into the tree. Bada boom. And the turret is gone. Now we're seeing a drone image. I mean, this is insane. If you would tell me Bradley versus T90, I would say T90 any day of the week, because it's a very capable tank and Bradley is almost half a century old infantry fighting vehicle. But this video proves otherwise. It smells what's coming. Okay, wait. Now a drone hit that T90. That T90 is still trying to drive, and now the infantry dismounted the crew members and they're running away. See, this is what usually happens. You don't need to destroy Russian tanks for them to be destroyed, because one or two hits with anything against a Russian tank, the crew will disembark and run away. It's quite easy. And boom, all destroyed. Beautiful. 47th Brigade, as we can see, did this beautiful job. Well done. Now, my friends, let's see what Putin has to say about the Russian T90 modernized version. The T90 Breakthrough is the best tank in the world. 100%. Right now, we can't say that the T90 Breakthrough is the best tank in the world. It just gets to the position. That's all. It's the best tank in the world in taking carnage fire from Bradleys. This was a little bit of eye candy to you. My friends, what you're seeing right now in this video is not a trolley with wheels trying to fly. No, this is a Ukrainian missile, cruise missile prototype. Yes, Ukrainians are producing their own cruise missiles now, and as you can see, the prototypes are already flying. This one has a jet engine, and as you can see from the video, it is perfectly capable in maneuvering in very tight areas or airspaces. The turning circle seems to be pretty good. Now, if I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about Belgorod and other bigger Russian cities next to Ukrainian borders. I mean, this missile is gonna be delivering presents daily if this goes into mass production. Ukrainians have been really good with drones, but they have fallen behind in missile production since Russia is bombarding Ukrainians with missiles almost daily. Well, now they can do the same back. Ukrainians have their own missile production. I'm glad to see it. My friends, how is the war and the sanctions affecting Russia? Well, we don't obviously see it because Putin does a very good job at hiding it. But now again, I'll bring you a very small detail how this effect of the sanctions and the war is leaking onto public and onto us. Let's take Russian airplane industry. Now we've talked about how they field very old planes and they're gonna change these planes and it's dangerous. We haven't talked about the runways. Yes, the airfield runways. Russia is a country that gets a lot of snow in the winter, and this winter is especially harsh. Now, pilots, civilian pilots, have been complaining that the runways are not cleared from the snow and ice at all. They have to land and it's like 50-50 if you're gonna slide off the runway. And with a plane that goes with 500 kilometers per hour and weighs everything, it is a very dangerous thing to do. I'll read you the report. Pilots are complaining en masse about poor airfields. 4 airplanes have rolled off the runways in a month. in Russia. The latest incident occurred as earlier this week. A Tupolev 204 with 17 tons of Russian post parcels and cargo was caught on a video rolling out of the runway in Mirny, Yakutia. Rolling out of a runway means the runway is too snowy and slippery for a heavy airplane to stop in time, meaning they run out from the side or they exceed the length of the runway, they cannot stop, and it damages the plane, it can destroy it fully, and it puts people's lives in danger. Also, it damages the parcels and the post, 17 tons of it. So it's really, really bad and dangerous. And the Russians don't do much about it. Well, why? Because a lot of the men who actually work in these airfields as drivers of these machines who clear snow from the runways, they're sent to the front because of Putin's orders. Every company has to send some quotas of men to the front, including airline companies, which are responsible in clearing the runways. So this is again how we see the sanctions and the war directly influencing the lives of Russian citizens, putting their lives in danger actually. Planes cannot stop on a runway. Now I gotta say that yes, this happens in every country in the world where there is snow. In Germany, if it snows, the runways are filled with snow, but in Germany the difference is immediately the airline company or the airport reacts and clears it as fast as possible. In hours, mostly in minutes. In Russia, might take days. And to even further hammer this point in, this is the main highway between Moscow and Chelyabinsk, so it is a very, very important and big highway in Russia. I mean, everything coming from Moscow is big and important, meaning they are usually taken care of. The infrastructure around Moscow and coming from Moscow is usually repaired and cleaned. This highway coming from Moscow looks like this, filled with snow, cannot drive on it, the big trucks are on the sides, nobody helping them out. Too much snow, it's a blizzard. Now again, this happens in every country, including Estonia. And when this happens, usually Estonian governments, local governments send immediately vehicles to clear the snow and dig out people. In Russia, this would be the case if a lot of the people who are working in these infrastructure companies haven't been sent to the front, and another half of the people who should be working or fled the country. The shortage of manpower in civilian working places is very visible in Russia. It shows in the speed in which they're repairing these pipes that burst, or actually the lack of speed in clearing the airport runways, the lack of urgency in clearing the highways from snow, the lack of urgency in digging out the civilians who are stuck in those highways with their vehicles. It's the lack of workforce. They don't have enough men to do it, because everybody is working in military factories or on the front. Putin has prioritized military production over everything, and it's beginning to show. My friends, look at this. We are in central Russia. Actually, it is already called Siberia from here. Siberia is insanely vast, but this is the Republic of Bashkortostan. And if Russia would be cut to pieces, this would be one of the countries, the country of Bashkortostan. These are not Russian people. These are not Slavic people. They are an ethnic minority who have their own culture, language, traditions. They would even have their own currency if they were not under Russian occupation. Now, the only riots and protests against Putin's power are right now happening in this republic. Let's look into it. Local Russians in Baimak, Republic of Bashkortostan, Russia organized a protest against the sentencing and imprisonment of local activist Fail Alsyonov. The security forces begin tear gassing the crowd, which surrounded and pelted them with snowballs. The case against Alsyonov was a sham designed to end his growing popularity as a local leader and influencer who was advising local Bashkirts to not participate in the special military operation. So this is a guy who wants to protect his culture, lineage, language, and wants to fight against Putin Russianizing Russian-occupied territories, meaning Putin sending ethnic minorities to the front, like the Bashkirts. As you can see, Putin sent his goons as riot police and OMON, which are one of the best paid positions in Russia, since Putin's power relies heavily almost only to OMON or riot police. They're so well paid that they always show up and they always perform their duties, as can be seen here. And the duties are oppressing the people, oppressing the public, pressing down anti-Putin notions, like these Bashkir people in their own homeland, in their own republic, trying to preserve their language and culture. Putin sent riot police to push them down. My friends, now we jump into the topic of Russia is freezing shenanigans. This has been going on for 2 weeks already, and every day new videos emerge, and I want to share them with you because this has much bigger of an effect than you would think if you watch a video of a bursting water pipe. But if you watch videos of 1,000 bursting water pipes, which leaves residents in millions without heating in minus 30 Celsius, suddenly it's an over nationwide catastrophe. And that's what's going on in Russia. The defect in Novosibirsk is getting worse. About 2,500 buildings in the city are without heat. Over 500,000 people live in these buildings. The temperatures will reach minus 28 degrees Celsius, which is minus 18 Fahrenheit. Anybody who has felt this cold knows that it becomes deadly very fast. And if you're clothed properly, you can spend 5-6 hours in that cold. If you're not clothed properly, it takes minutes for you to get extremely cold. And the weirdest paradoxical thing here is these are hot water pipes, meaning it's extremely cold outside, but the water on the ground is scorching hot, giving you burns. So it's pain through frostbite or pain through actual burns from the hot water on the streets. Very weird situation, and it's only in Russia's situation. But this is not just one isolated incident, as I have mentioned many times. This is going on all over Russian cities because the money Putin has been pouring into modernizing the heating system has always been stolen. So if I would say Putin has been pouring this money as in he has good intentions, no, fish rots from the head. He himself has stolen this money. This is another video from Novosibirsk, and as you can see, this is all steam. Since the water is extremely hot and it's very cold, steam is very tense. If you have poured hot water in minus 30 degrees Celsius, you know, this steam is so thick you cannot really breathe or see through it, as you can see. It's a citywide catastrophe. It cannot be fixed fast because it requires a team of very good, I don't know how to call plumbers, or I'm sorry for the lack of wording here, but you cannot just fix it like that. In this video, we can see a Russian city of Penza, and about 50% of the entire city is without electricity because there was a short circuit in the electrical plant. And it's so strange and ironical again that Russia, which is most famous for exporting energy products, is now lacking gasoline, heating, oil for engines, engine lubricants, and electricity. I would have never guessed this happens in Russia, but all you need is a little bit colder winter and everything goes to shit. In Russia, there is also a city called Vladimir. Yes, a city called Vladimir. No, not after Vladimir Putin. There have been many Vladimirs as leaders in Russia. It's named after one of them. And of course, I want to end this Russia is freezing shenanigans with a sewage video, because why not? Everybody needs their good dose of sewage videos in their Thursday. This is a university in Vladimir, and the water pipes burst, of course, which are connected, and the pressure is connected to the sewage pipes, which now leak sewage water, or let's call it what it is. It's shit water, students' shit water, leaking all over the seals, the floors, the ceilings. It's everywhere. And since the water pipe, which is not producing hot water anymore to the building, is broken, meaning the building would freeze, meaning this student's shit water will freeze to frozen shit below their feet. So, welcome to Ruski Mir, my friends. To give you another example of Ruski Mir, they opened a stealing museum or looting museum in Russia. See, this museum's point is to show the Russian citizens what Russian soldiers have stolen and looted from Ukraine. It's car driver's plates, hats, ID cards, passports, everything is here. So Russian government thinks this is a necessary and a proud thing to show to the people that look how many things we stole. Stealing in my culture and my country is shameful. You're ashamed of it. You don't want to do it. It's punishable by law. In Russia, that's the culture and reality, unfortunately. It is a mafia state. So they're proud about it, and they make a museum about it. And now, my friends, to top it all off with the cherry, I bring you back to Ukraine, where we will visit one of the oldest active air defense systems in the world. Of course, it is the Hawk system, MIM-23 Hawk air defense system. It is the United States air defense that preceded the Patriot, was actually before the Patriot, and it was commissioned into the anti-air forces in the US in the 1960s. Actually, it was the year 1960. So by now, it is 64 years old, and they are still active in Ukraine. I'm so glad the United States gave them to Ukraine. And here, of course, we have a photo of it. By today's standards, it's an ancient weapon, but if it works and shoots and kills, use it. It entered service with the United States Army in 1959. Stalin had been dead only 6 years when this system entered service. And I'm sure it was the best air defense system in the world at the time. Right now, of course, it's incredibly outdated. But so is the M1113 from Vietnam. I mean, it's also like a 60-year-old infantry fighting vehicle. That doesn't stop Ukrainians from fielding thousands of them. I don't know how many exactly they have, but well over 1,000. And they work. Hawk was superseded by the MIM-104 Patriot in the US Army service by 1994. The development of the Hawk missile began in 1952, so 1 year before Stalin's death, when the United States Army began studies into a medium-range semi-active radar homing surface-to-air missile. Now, these air defense missile systems have taken part of many wars. The war of attrition, they were fielded by Israel, the Chadian-Libyan war, the Iran-Iraq war, Gulf War, 2020 Turkish intervention in Libya, Russo-Ukrainian war, and the manufacturer is the Raytheon company. Now, it's a medium to short-range anti-air defense system because the range of it is only 45 to 50 kilometers, which is not much at all compared to Patriot. Now, I don't know if it can shoot down Russian Caliber or Kinzhal missiles. I think it cannot shoot down Kinzhal. I would say this is mostly used against Shahed drones since it's so old. And the speed of the missiles is Mach 2.4, which is also not very fast. But it's a 60-year-old system. What are we talking about here? If it works, use it. Patreons. My friends, and now my favorite part of the video, mentioning of the Patreon names or butchering of the Patreon names. If you want your name to be butchered, just become a sergeant of Artur's army. Link is in the description below. Crystal Clark, Jennifer Usher, Sampo Karvonen. I have to disappoint you, Sampo Karvonen, because your name is Finnish, which is pronounced almost the same way as Estonian. So, Sampo Karvonen, I think I didn't butcher your name, I just said it. For you, I will say it like an American. Sampo Karvonen, William Pulley. Thank you to these 4 people being sergeants in the Artur's army. I put weekly updates in Patreon, content that you don't get on YouTube, and insider information about my behind the scenes on YouTube and military blog. So go and check it out. Until my next update, my friends, which will be tomorrow. So be back. Slava Ukraini, and bye bye.